Great. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Office 365 Pulse. We have got myself and Tom today. We do not have Adam. He is flying back from snowy New York. He was on site all this week learning and doing an engagement with Azure Sentinel. So I'm sure we'll get to hear updates about all of that. I'm excited to hear that coming up there. So that's pretty cool. So it's just Tom and I today. Honestly, guys, Tom and I were just talking about this. It's a pretty quiet day in the roadmap update land. There's just not much going on. So if you had one of those random miscellaneous things that you were waiting to pop on the roadmap, this might be your week. But if you were waiting for something big, this is not your week. So this will probably be a pretty quick update. There might be some cool things, but let's be honest, there's nothing significant or crazy or anything to get all worked up about on this week's roadmap. So
it was almost like somebody decided to do cleanup. It's like, oh yeah, all of those are fully rolled out. Let's stick those all in launch. So we've discussed so many of those.
Yeah, and like in development, I'm gonna just say Yammer. Let's put Yammer in development. They want to make Yammer look like the rest of Office 365. So things like branding and cover photos, the way you close conversations, pinning conversations, all of those types of looky and feely things are now in development inside of Yammer. And so the year of Yammer, they made big Yammer announcements at Ignite. I mean, it's the year of everything, right? Whatever it's the year of. So they've got a lot of Yammer things coming. Those are now hitting the roadmap. So we're going to start to see those out there. So I guess just like everything else we've seen inside of the Office 365 suite, if you're a big Yammer user, and it seems to be like you're either all in or not, but if you are, I think you're going to start to see some of those alignments coming, which if you are a big Yammer user, you're probably very excited to finally see these things on the roadmap because I know you've been asking for them. So they're just in development stage, but that means you're going to start to see more things coming on them. So I think there's probably at least 6 or 7 things it felt like from Yammer coming there, but it was all around that experiences and how you work with groups and how you pin things and branding and all of that. And so instead of going through each one of those piece by piece, we'll just say Yammer's in development.
please check our roadmap document that will be included in the links to our.
So that's kind of there, but all cool stuff. I mean, if you're a big Yammer user. So
a couple other things after you get past the onslaught of Yammer stuff up front. Outlook for iOS and Android got a few things when it comes to search.
Yeah.
Keyword search now for the iOS version, at least, they've got tabbed results along the top now when you do searches. So it'll show you searches across mail, across contacts, across events. So you can start to get some separation out there, which is kind of cool. You also have something coming up called top results. So the best 3 results for your keyword search is presented at the top of your Outlook client, be it Outlook, iOS or Android, and everything else comes up in chronological order. So it's starting to prioritize some of those things coming in, which again will help you if you happen to hit that right thing and after it learns more about what you're doing, it could give you the things that you're looking for, even though you may not have quite the right search term, or the thing that you want is like a year and a half ago and it's further down in the chronological order. So
I'm excited about that because I need Outlook iOS to search a little bit more like Outlook because Ginny can't find stuff she needs, and so I need them to behave better. So I'm excited about that. I just need I need Outlook to think one way no matter what device I'm on. And I don't necessarily know if I care what way it's thinking, but I don't want to have to think, oh, I'm thinking, I'm searching on my phone. I need to do it differently. So I think that will actually be a win because I think it will make them align better. Now, here's one that's in development that I am super excited about, Tom. I don't know if you have been hit with this one, but I'm in some rather large team meetings right now. And I don't always, especially the rather large team meetings, I don't always get to attend the rather large team meeting. But don't you worry, I know the rather large team meeting is going on because they will start chatting and my watch will start going nuts. And I am like, good Lord, what is going on? And it's like, oh, 52 people just said good morning. Well, they are working on something that will allow it to remain muted until I either send a message or join the meeting. So therefore, if I don't attend the meeting, it's not going to send me a gabillion messages and let me see all the message chats and notify the junk out of me if I'm not in the meeting, if I haven't joined it, or if I'm not, sending a message. So I'm very excited that this is in development. And so most of my very, very large Teams meetings right now, quite honestly, are with Microsoft. And I'm guessing that they all have very large meetings as well. And so I'm guessing that I'm just in a few, they're probably in many more. So I think it's great that this is in development. So I'm actually very excited about this one because it's just annoying. It's not like it's a bad feature. It's just like annoying for an hour or two. So I'm excited that that one's coming.
Well, I think too, and this kind of lines up with some of the other changes you've been seeing in Teams where they are helping to cut the clutter. So you can now pin specific channels that you want to follow, where you don't have to follow the entire team necessarily. You can go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to hide this team because it's something I haven't touched on and I don't want to see the 40 workspaces I've been invited to. I only want to see these 5.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're doing more and more to get rid of this thing of I've got too much clutter going on in all these different forms of communication that I have out there. I want to be able to focus on things and only get notified on things that really matter to me. And it seems like this is a good step in that same direction. So.
Yeah, and I think they're kind of nailing it. So they're finding the noise and they're fixing it, and they're fixing it quickly. So I think they're doing a good job with it, and I'm pleased with it. So I think keep doing that. All right. Well, in honor of Adam, we can talk about some of the email things that are coming on. They do have some things in development around encryption and one-time passwords. What they're doing is they're enhancing how it works. I'm going to just try to put this in like super plain, non-techie English. They're going to try to make it so those one-time password emails that you get don't get caught in junk as much. They're just trying to make that easier for everybody. So they're improving that process. They're also improving notifications for Outlook admins. When users get notifications of bad things happening in Outlook, they're just keeping us safe with new notifications and doing different things like that. So if something's happening and there's an incident going on, admins are going to get notified. It's just all of those same things that are going on, just making it an easier experience for us to do the day-to-day management if it's our role for doing it. And then they also have some security roles that they're adding in. I'm pretty sure that was on, that might actually be in one of the rolling outs. I think it was in the rolling outs, but there was a security setting where there were 2 different roles that they just allowed you to separate based on a division of admin task. And that's just based on, the lowest level of permissions. They want you to have the least amount of permissions you possibly need at all times to do things. And so they're giving more granular permissions to allow that to happen. So those are some of the things going on in the Exchange world there. So Adam, we still covered your Exchange world.
Pour one out for Adam here,
Not as good as Adam would have covered it. He would have done the more technical terms, and I'm sure his fans are going, "Oh, Jennifer, you did a horrible job," but I got it.
Adam is able to convey some enthusiasm for things that hurt my eyes and make my ears bleed. So I think that's a really, really good skill on his part. Scrolling through some additional stuff, because yes, we're still in development here. We find a lot more Yammer stuff again later on here. So the Yammer homepage is going to get a lot of the Office 365 suite navigation. So that's coming. There's a new publisher for Yammer. So it says we're expanding the use of announcements so you can have the same reach with polls, questions, praise. That's really good. Attach a recently used files function in Yammer, so you can see your 3 most recent files used based on what the Office Graph tells you. There's a new Yammer home feed that you're going to have. So again, Yammer, actually, I'll go ahead, because when we scroll down to the next page, there's renaming of groups, communities in Yammer, and pin your favorite communities in Yammer. So there is just a ton of Yammer stuff out here. Again, probably go out and look at the spreadsheet or the PDF that Jen so graciously puts together that we work from, and you can get a little bit more detail on the Yammers, find out what the roadmap numbers are if you want to dig in a little deeper. But there's a lot of stuff going out there. Getting into something that I keep, this I've heard talked about a lot, and I've had people go, oh my God, I can't wait until this comes out. It looks like it's getting closer to that stage now, and that is in Microsoft Forms. You're going to be able to add the function to have file uploads in one of your surveys. And I know a lot of people have talked about that because they wanted people to give input or submit files. The example that they use is like creating a recruiting form that collects resumes, or a photography competition that requests images. You're now going to be able to do something other than just yes, no, scale of 1 to 5, stuff like that in Forms. So I think once that hits, people are going to start using Forms in even more creative ways that we're not aware of right now. And I can almost see Forms in that particular case becoming marginally an actual form for like a site rather than just this is a survey. Because we had some people who would build forms like, oh, I got this form that's like the front end for this. Like, that's not what Forms is for. But with the ability to have file uploads and stuff like that, I think that's going to become a little bit more. And probably if you couple that with flows, yeah, I think you're going to be able to do some pretty cool things. So
yeah, it can be really interesting.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think there's only one more thing in development: add additional participants to meeting chats.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, because it's like when you have a private meeting chat, you can't add more participants. It's really weird. So it's just one of those odd things in Teams that's like, if I started a conversation this way, I can add people, but if the conversation started this way, I can't add people. So now it's weird. Why can't I add people? And they're just fixing it. So it works in a group chat, but it doesn't work in a private chat. And so they're just making it the same. So it's one of those experience things where you can just add, it'll be the same experience for adding additional people to a private chat you have going on, whether it started from a group or it started from private chat. So that's a good thing. Yep. It's one of those things that it's like, how did they ever end up different in the first place, and why? But I'm glad they're fixing it. So moving to rolling out, the first one
there's some cool stuff in rolling out.
So thrilled about. So the first one is one that I just don't understand in life, and I've never understood. It's one of those things that you would think would be simple, and that's, I need you to give me files. So I'm going to send you a location and I want you to put files. But somehow, in the realm of my entire existence in the world of business, that's never an easy process. No. Like somehow, anytime and every time you do that, you end up with a mess you have to clean up. And just getting people to drop files in a shared location is, I don't know what happens. Their brain stops. Like, it just doesn't work. And so OneDrive has come up with this file request. And so what this means is I'm going to be able to send Tom a file request, which is basically an upload only link, which is going to give him a link that says, hey, Tom, put your file here. And he's only going to be able to put a file there. So that should fix this with like natural ease. And so I'm so excited to see this. When this first came out, I'm like, this is genius. Could this solve this problem? And maybe it can. And maybe it's because everybody just works just enough differently that everybody thinks to do it different, but you can't get, it's just such a mess collecting. Every time I think about crap, I have to go collect a collection of documents and get everyone to store them in the same spot. This will be a mess. So I'm very excited about this. And I'm excited to start seeing it rolling out. Should be out this month. So super, super excited about that one.
I like what they're doing with that one too, in the fact that one of the problems you run into with the kind of request you were talking about is that you've got 5 files or you've got a template out there and the document's got the same name and people send them in and they copy over the top of each other, or you get the, parentheses 1, parentheses 1, parentheses 2, parentheses 14 to make them separate. If I remember correctly, when I've seen this discussed earlier, what they will do is they will actually append the user's name on the file. So it's going to be less of an issue of you overwriting or having weirdly named files. You'll be able to go out and see, oh, Tom did his submission and Jen did hers. Oh, Adam hasn't because I don't see his file out there. I can go bug him now. So having those names attached to the files will make it very easy for the person who's coordinating all this to see, has everybody done what I expected? So I like what they've done with this. I'm looking forward to being able to use that.
Yeah, I'm super excited about running my first learning campaign on this one for champions to say, look how easy this now is. Like,
really?
Just save y'all time. So I'm super excited about this one. All right, Tom. So what else do you see in there?
I'll just mention in brief, if you've liked My Analytics or you've heard about My Analytics, but you've never been able to use it because you don't have an Office license that allows you to use it, it looks like they've now rolled it out to everybody. So awesome. If you've never used it before, I highly recommend you go do it, because it gives you some interesting insights as to what you're doing with Outlook and how your calendar looks and stuff like that. And it looks like everybody's now going to be able to play with it. The one entry after that is one that I've been looking forward to see, because this is, I'll say, unfortunately, the way that I work too often. And that is, I will have a file that, oh, I need to go back and read that. Maybe it's a PDF, a learning piece, something like that. I bring it into OneDrive. I put it in a file. I will go look at it later. Yes, I will.
Save it for later.
Yes, yep. And I find I'm collecting knowledge, but I'm not learning anything. Collecting information. Now OneDrive for Business is going to have a save for later feature. So you can actually bookmark files and folders in OneDrive that then you can easily click on the save for later feature on the side navigation and see all the ones that you have marked for that. So instead of going, oh, I was supposed to read that, did I save it on my desktop, or did I put it in documents, or was it a folder? Now you just mark it save for later. You can find everything in one place. I think that will be really good. It's kind of like a bookmarking feature. Instead of for the browser, it's for your files. So when that one comes out, I will definitely be taking advantage of that one.
Yeah, we saw that one hit our environment yesterday.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out.
We saw that hit. Julie and Maria were talking to me about that one yesterday, because we're doing some training and we're like, oh, UI's different. So we putting together some stuff on that. So this one's fun. Outlook on the Web, reoccurring series, room availability. So we all have been there. We check availability for a room and then we're like, but we need to do this on a reoccurring basis. But then we go in and you can't see availability on a reoccurring basis. So you're kind of shooting in the wind to find out, well, is this free every Tuesday at 3:00? Or am I going to just have a conflict every Tuesday at 3:00? Well, now we can look with confidence. This is another one of those fun written ones. So now it's going to let you know the number of instances in your series where the room is actually free. So that's helpful. So if you get it and there's, oh, look, you just booked 10 instances and 0 of those are free, you know you chose poorly. So I think that's a good change there. So that's coming. And then the next one I'll hit because it's super easy and kind of silly. And we've talked about this one a lot. Natural language queries. So this is another one from Search that's coming, and you're going to get that in Excel, on the web, and for Mac, and for different things there. And they're just letting you do more natural language queries inside of Excel. I think we're starting to see that in Search, though, all over Office. So we're going to keep seeing these little pieces trickle in from the in development into the rolling out. And I think we're going to see these all year, I think. But those are some of the changes that are coming that are now rolling out there. So those are a couple of them there.
I'm thinking the natural language queries with Excel is going to be really interesting for me because I have a very limited knowledge of Excel. Very, very limited knowledge of Excel. And it's taken me forever to finally get to the point where I can do a simple pivot table. But I can just imagine what it would have been to be able to say, click on ideas and type in, show me the count of all users by date. And it goes out there and says, oh, let me populate a pivot table for you and help you glean insights and stuff like that. I think that's going to be really nice for people to get like a starter of where they want to go when they really just don't have a clue, but they can ask the question. So.
Yeah, if the natural language is natural language or natural accounting language.
This is true. And I've always said that
I'm going to put a big to be determined there.
And yes, it may not actually work the way we'd like it to, but the fact that they're at least looking at going in that direction, I think is a good thing.
Yeah. I'll do the last two really quick. Forms, Forms team is doing some things with two things with like phishing. If you're phishing on their forms and going after stuff, they're going to block you and keep you from doing things. So they're adding some phishing controls into their forms there. And then they're doing multilingual support is coming out to GCC, DoD, and DoD High. And that just means users can pick what language do they want their form to be in if you've got the multi-forms there. And then finally, the last one, which was another Outlook one, and that's making changes or an Exchange one, making changes with the quarantined emails so you can update the templates and different things like that. When you quarantine people's emails, the templates that go out to them, you can customize that template and make some different changes there so that you can provide information to your users.
Yeah,
and they configure those alerts and stuff. Yep.
Yeah, the fact that it looks like something coming from within your company
rather
than, I just got this request and it's coming from Microsoft and that really doesn't sound right. It's like, no, that's right. What it's flagging you for wasn't right. But if you can get it looking like it's coming from your company, then that's going to make it a lot easier for the people having to take action when they get that. So.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm going to let you start on launch, Tom, because I keep starting with all of them, but we'll move over to the launch section.
So launched, a lot of these things we have talked about in the past. So like the AutoCAD file previewer, that's now fully rolled out. You should be able to see that. All the Outlook things that we've talked about, because Outlook seemed to get all the love about 2 months ago. Manage events with large audiences, option to cancel events from a day forward, support shared mailboxes, all of those that you have heard us talk about recently, those are now in a launch, so you should be in the environment. Again, I would suggest take a look at the list of LinkedIn, whatever things those are. But again, look for some changes there, and you're going to see a lot more flexibility and a lot more feature-rich options that you have in Outlook. I also did see this one hit our environment because I did Spark 1 minute Office magic tip on it. You can now do comments and notifications on non-Office files in SharePoint and OneDrive for Business, where it used to be you could do comments on Microsoft-based files, but things like PDFs or images or stuff like that, you couldn't have comments that were attached to the context of the document and would travel along with it. Now you can, and I think that is a huge thing because it again makes using OneDrive for Business or SharePoint Online a lot more useful instead of putting it in a file share where all you've really got is the data that was put there and the name that you got attached to it. Now you can have a conversation about it, and that conversation will stay with the file. So look for that. That should be in your environment now.
Yeah, that's really cool. Priority fields for planner task got launched. So those are out there now. Let's see, the new reimagined Microsoft project is launched. So that's cool. Meet now. We can spontaneously meet now in Teams. Again, these are all things that we talked about. Outlook is definitely the winner, though. I think the Outlook team must have been wrapping it up so they could take an early Christmas, because that's fantastic. That's great. External sharing reports for OneDrive, so end users will be able to access reports to see what they're sharing externally. That's always great, so they can go in and do that. Other than that, page edit, undo, and redo when you're authoring your pages in SharePoint. That's a fun one. Vertical sections. Yeah, vertical sections in SharePoint. That one's cool. The world clock and the weather updates, web parts.
Yep, I've done Spark 1 minute Office Magic tips on those, so you can always go out to that site. They've got one here too, which I keep looking for and I've never seen it. I need to go look for it again because apparently it's out now. And that is the time to read an inside look on files. So if you've got a file out there in SharePoint Online or OneDrive, you hover over it and you get the little pop-up box that gives you some of the details. Now it should include the time to read, how long it's going to take you, and it will also give you a real quick synopsis with what it deems to be important phrases or something in there, which I think is really cool in the fact that it allows you to see stuff without having to go through the whole thing of launching the file and start trying to figure out what's in there in the whole bit.
Totally.
I definitely want to check out and see if that's available now too. So.
Yep. Well, cool. And the direct links to the PowerPoint slide, that one, I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, now.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Planner for government F1. I mean, Planner's been hitting government, so now it's just hit F1 for GOG, DOD, and GCC. Okay.
MOUSE.
Need more coffee. There we go. And then nothing in canceled. They haven't canceled anything on the roadmap. Usually canceled hits the roadmap the week of the last week of the year. That's when we see, like, they do the final roadmap cleanup. That's what I've noticed the trend over the last 2 or 3 years, is that last year we'll get 3 or 4 or 5 of them. None of them are shocking. It's more like, oh, that was still on the roadmap. Like, it hasn't changed for it, but it's like their cleanup, because it's like, oh, by January 1st, you have to have the roadmap clean. So I expect some cancels will be trickling in, but I don't think anything major is going to come and shock us. But I think, we've had all of our big announcements. We're going to keep seeing things. I expect to see some more things rolling out. Little things like maybe in SharePoint or some of the Office clients and different things like that. And then we might see some more things in development. We'll see. But all in all, I think it's all pretty quiet out there. So next week we should have Adam back, and I'm excited to hear how his things went. We might even be able to take some time and have him give us an update on some of the Azure Sentinel stuff, which isn't necessarily Office 365, but allows you to bring in your Office 365 data and do reporting and different things like that. So a really cool tool that's relevant to a lot of our users. So cool. All righty. Well, then I'll get this posted on YouTube, and we'll see everybody next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.